Today I want to talk about something that if you look at first glance, doesn't always add up. In 1874, an American painter named John stepped off a train in Paris. Within just a few years, he had won a lot of awards at the Salon. Within 10, he was one of the most prominent, talked about painters in all of the French art circles. And then just 3 years later, life moment happened. He soon after that packed up his bags, left Paris. He came back from time to time, but he never returned to that world. Now, the easy part of the story is Paris rejected him. But I think the more interesting part of the story is how he rejected Paris right back. If this is your first time here, welcome to you. Glad you're here. Here we look at art history, the lives of the artists, how they saw their world, and how it just might influence or help us see our world a little bit better in the art of creating photography. For those of you returning, always appreciated very much. Thanks. Well, come on, let's go take a walk. The year is 1874. John Singer Sargent has just enrolled in the studio of Carolus-Duran. Duran was one of the most fashionable portrait painters in Paris at the time. Now, Duran had a method the way he taught painting. Paint directly. Some call it a la prima. Some say au premier coup. Sorry if I butchered that one. But basically, it just means first attempt. Just put the brush on the canvas. Committed, confident. I guess he would be one of the first guys to say, get her done. But in his methods of teaching, Sargent felt like he had found a home. From 1877 to 1874, Sargent submitted every year. Every year something changed, something happened, but nothing like what happened in 84. Let's take a quick walk through those years for some context and some fun facts along the way. 1877 starts out with a portrait of a childhood friend, Miss Fanny, well received, sets the foundation for him. 1878, oysters and olives, changing it up a little bit. But one of my favorite years. 1879, student surpasses a teacher. Highly praised for this one. 1880, two portraits. Could not be more diverse. Showing he can pretty much paint anything he wants to at 24 years old. 1881, the year it became real. He won a second-class medal, which basically meant Sargent was permanently exempt from going through the jury process and allowed him to submit work to future salons automatically. 1882, a portrait, and also my personal favorite work of his. And yeah, we're definitely going to circle back on that one in the future. 1883, The Four Daughters. Did quite well. An incredible show of some of his thoughts on composition. But I think Sargent was a little bit distracted during that time of the year because I'm pretty sure he was distracted with the subject of the 1884 Salon. Yep, Miss Madame X. The painting is called Portrait of Madame X. I'll put her full name on the screen. I'm just going to call her Miss Virginia because I can guarantee I would distort her name. She was Louisiana born, moved to Paris early, socialite, known for her beauty and let's just say her enthusiastic enjoyment of being noticed. They met in 1881, and for 2 years, I think Sargent pretty much just chased her around all over Paris trying to get her to agree for him to let her paint her. In 1883, she finally agreed. I don't know whether she just got tired of him or just was playing hard to get. Who knows? He took over a year painting her, and during that time, he said two things about her. He said one, she had unpaintable beauty, and the other was hopeless laziness. Hard to get her to sit still for a little while, I think. But I think he wanted to capture something specific. He saw something that, in her that he wanted to show, not a pose portrait, but a presence. An authority, a woman who already knew exactly who she was. The painting is extraordinary. The black dress, the profile, the arched neck, the one diamond strap slightly off the shoulder in the original. It is by honest measure one of the most confident paintings of the 19th century. Everyone who saw it beforehand loved it. Duran, even Miss Virginia herself. But then the Salon of 1884 opened. Paris disagreed. From the opening, started going south and never stopped. Newspapers had a field day. Miss Virginia's own mother came to John and said, man, you got to take this out. Remove it. Get it out. And here's what I keep coming back to at that moment. He didn't collapse. He didn't apologize. He left it in the show. When the show was over, he packed it up, took it back to his studio, pretty much got his things together and said, see ya, I'm out of here. He moved to London, continued to travel, and created a body of work after that most painters would rival for having a lifetime. Paris had said goodbye. He said fine. And right there is where I think we have a little bit in common with Sargent than we thought. At least I know I do. I've always believed that we walk certain paths in life. Those paths, some we choose, and some choose us. But as we walk along those paths, it's how we choose to see determines who we are and how we create. There's something the sergeant said to his students, not a direct quote, but it's something that, just 4 words that stick with me that he said. He said, be curious and unafraid. Quick story on the curious part. Sergeant and his sisters were traveling around Italy, and they were at a train station going from one place to the next, and they found out the train was going to be delayed about an hour, and so Sergeant grabbed his little watercolor kit, went outside, found some light that worked for him. Simple scene, but he found that golden light over some oxen that just, he turned it into a treasure. But it just reminds us that, Sergeant never turned off his painter's eye. No matter where he was, no matter what was happening. Didn't matter that the train was delayed. His painter's eye and our photo eye, pretty much the same thing. We just have to learn a little bit better how not to turn it off when things don't go our way. Next word will be unafraid. Circling back to Madam X. The Salon of 1884 tried to tell Sargent what a portrait was supposed to look like. He already knew what it looked like. He had made it multiple times, and he trusted that. And that's why I think in 1916, when he sold it to the Met, he said, I suppose this is the best thing I have ever done. Even after all those years, all the drama, all the scandal, he still held true to what he believed in 1884. Because I don't think he was being reckless. I don't think he was saying ignore criticism. I take it as he was telling us, when you step outside your home with your camera, take your curiosity with you, leave your fear at home. Now, if you've been following the series about Sargent, you realize that, while he left Paris, he certainly didn't abandon all that he had while he was there. And he would often return and visit with a friend that he had made, a painter during that time that was doing something with light and color that nobody had ever seen. His name was Claude Monet. And what those two figured out in a field with some brushes in their hands, well, that's the next chapter. Well, that's going to wrap up part 2. If you missed part 1, I'll put a link here somewhere and definitely put one in the description. I just wanted to come outside, show you a little bit of where I live in the world right now. Figured it'd be a little bit more interesting than me sitting at a desk. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate every single time, and hope you enjoyed it. And next time you go out with your camera, just remember to be curious and fearless, and always create something real.